Hey guys, so this week we open our week still in some very high intensity energy. This Grand Cross and cardinal signs is still kind of highlighted and very active Monday and Tuesday as we open our week this week. But by the time we get to Wednesday, you guys, vibes will shift, things will start to change, and Venus retrograde energy is really going to be the focal point for the rest of this week, closing out the month of July. But we need to play some catch up today, you guys. I don't know if you noticed, but everything was happening at once over this past week, this past weekend, and it may have felt that way in your experience as well, like just everything is colliding, everything is happening at the same time, overwhelmed, frustrated, maybe pulled in several different directions, maybe a bit like a chicken with your head cut off. And we've got some things to look back on that happened over the weekend that I wasn't able to bring as much attention to as I wanted to in my weekend report because of just all of the big aspects playing out. So we are going to do some catching up in our report for the day as well. We have to talk about the sun entering the sign of Leo. We have to talk about Venus retrograde. We also had a Mercury-Uranus square going on that is present to begin this week as well. So lots to talk about, you guys. Let's get into it. Let's look at this energy. Let's, like I said, sort of look back and see some of the other features of what happened over the weekend, how things are coming together to start this week, and what perhaps our week energetically might look like as this energy unfolds. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, July 24th, 2023. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages on this channel. We are looking at the energy as it's coming through on a day-to-day basis, transits, activations, the frequency-based shifts that we are undergoing, but we are doing so in the context of our greater transition of ages into the age of Aquarius right now, and how these frequency-based changes that are coming through as a result of the ongoing transits and activations happening now are over time contributing to this overall energetic and frequency-based shift that is creating the transition of ages, our entrance into the age of Aquarius. So as above, so below, microcosm, macrocosm, that's what we're doing on this channel. We are coming out of some epic energy right now, you guys. This past weekend, I don't know if you felt it, I don't know if you experienced it, but it really may have felt like just everything was happening at once. You may have felt totally overwhelmed, maybe just like pulled in so many different directions, like so many fires that need to be put out simultaneously, like chicken with our head cut off type of vibe. Like this may be somewhat reminiscent of what was going on this past week, this weekend. And as I said, we really still are in sort of the thick of this energy through Tuesday of this week. That is because the moon is in Libra right now. Libra is the sign where the south node of the moon is. Of course, if you guys have been following my channel, if you follow astrology generally right now, you know that the nodes of the moon, the north and the south node, destiny and karma, the past and the future, have recently left Taurus and Scorpio, ended their year-and-a-half long transit through Taurus and Scorpio, and backed into Aries and Libra, where they are currently at 29 degrees, the last critical degree of that sign. We also, of course, have Pluto retrograde right now at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and the sun was actually at 29 degrees of Cancer this weekend. As I said, one of the things that we need to talk about in this report is that the sun actually is now in the sign of Leo, energetic shift, but because we had this big cardinal cross going on at 29 degrees in cardinal signs, this was really sort of just like the highlight of the energy, the focal point of the energy all weekend, and it needed therefore the biggest emphasis in terms of what I was talking about in my weekend report for the astrology and the energy generally. So today we have to talk about some of the other things that were playing out alongside of that, the sun entering Leo being one of those, Venus retrograding being another one. I mentioned it and I had been mentioning it, but I was not able to get into like full detail of it because it just hadn't been like the energetic focal point over this course of this past weekend. However, moving through this week, that changes, and the Venus retrograde vibe is really going to dominate our experience. Like I said, sort of coming in Monday or Wednesday, but definitely Thursday, you know, Friday, Saturday, moving through the weekend. All eyes on Venus retrograde energy. So we've got to talk about that as well. And then we are also starting this week in Mercury square Uranus energy. We actually had an exact Mercury black moon conjunction over the weekend as well. That was another like sideline aspect. It's like we had so much going on over the weekend, like so many exact aspects, so many like planets doing important things, energetic shifts, and then of course the cross. And don't forget Mars opposing Saturn retrograde. This is also a huge like activation transit that we had going on simultaneously as well. But with, you know, all of this going on, it's like what normally would be considered, you know, a primary important aspect, like Mercury and the black moon coming together in a square to Uranus, or the sun literally changing signs, it just didn't get the amount of prominence and attention that it normally would. So therefore today we do need to focus back on that, because like I said, these vibes are going to like emerge a bit more this week, because they're not going to be so consumed by the significance of what this grand cross was doing. So Mercury squaring Uranus for sure, like we're only 1 degree out of exact activation of that transit on Monday. They're 1 degree apart. So there could be, you know, people saying weird stuff. A desire also kind of like mentally, this is like a mentally liberating aspect. This can cause people to kind of like seek out freedom, seek out like something more exciting or something more unusual, or something that just sort of like switches up the normal routine or the habit or the pattern. A lot of times it's not even a conscious thing. Sometimes we'll just like make plans to do stuff that is out of alignment with like our normal flow of things, and it will happen in correspondence with like a Mercury Uranus energy. So there could just be something like unusual or unexpected or like uncharacteristic going on today. This is also like mental awakening energy. There could be, and it's a square, so like some type of upset or shock or surprise in terms of conversations or interactions or transactions or information that is coming to us. There could be just some bizarre news headlines, again, but likely to have sort of like an expect the unexpected air to things. People just acting or behaving or saying strange and unusual things, or, you know, some type of just maybe like unsettling news that is coming to us somehow as well. Mercury and Uranus in square can also bring sort of like issues with technology. There could definitely be like a sort of heightened sense of like nervous tension or anxiety as well. You know, weird news, weird information, upsets to plans, schedules, normal routines and stuff, and people could just be acting generally crazy. That could be a vibe that we've got going on. Or just, again, like there could be just like weird, erratic like communications or phone calls or emails or technology issues and stuff like that that we're dealing with. So that's the Mercury Uranus tone and flavor of things that might be doing something along those lines as we open our week. But as I said, you know, we really still are primarily, in terms of the energetic focus, Monday and Tuesday engaged in this grand cross, because as I was saying earlier, the moon is transiting the sign of Libra right now. Libra is the sign hosting the south node of the moon, and so the moon's presence in Libra is activating this grand cross, especially in terms of the south node's presence in the sign of Libra. Actually, tomorrow on Tuesday, the moon will align with the south node, will oppose the north node, and will square Pluto. So some of the same themes that were very present on the 22nd may come up in some way that are very present and significant on the 25th as well. Or we could just find ourselves, you know, kind of re-engaged or re-immersed in this like internalized tension, or feeling a bit overwhelmed, or feeling pulled in a lot of different directions, or maybe like feeling like we're up against like something that is just, you know, such a problem or such an issue or such like an abominable force against us. Like, what's it going to take for us to overcome? However, the advice I can tell you energetically is to just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep moving forward. Don't, you know, despite how overwhelmed we might feel right now, or, you know, how significant or daunting like the opposition against us or what needs to be overcome may appear or may feel, by the time that we get to Wednesday, like I said, the moon is going to form an opposition to Jupiter. It's funny, you know, for the past year and a half, every time that we've had the moon transiting either Taurus or Scorpio, specifically Scorpio, this has been bringing up some really deep emotions associated with the past and like a lot of our issues, kind of stirring them up. Moon in Scorpio is always, you know, more of an emotional energy, but with the South south node there was likely to be, you know, things that we were dealing with that were coming to the surface to be released and to help us detach ourselves from on very, like I said, very deep emotional, psychic, and psychological subconscious levels while we had the moon transiting the sign of Scorpio. But now that the south node's out of the sign of Scorpio and it's in the sign of Libra, it's almost like the moon transiting the sign of Scorpio now, even though it's a Scorpio moon, is kind of like, in one sense, sort of like a breath of fresh air, as we are not dealing with the south node themes anymore in that sign. And also Jupiter, currently transiting the sign of Taurus, is causing the moon's transit through Scorpio to be opposing Jupiter. When the moon is in opposition to Jupiter, this lifts our spirits. This like restores our hope. It brings us back, you know, to a sense of like internalized, like being able to trust ourselves and trust the higher plan and see the bigger picture and be more, you know, be re-inspired and be able to, you know, just a return of the hope and stuff like that. So we just need to buckle down, you guys. We just need to, as I said, like one foot in front of the other. We're gonna get there. We're gonna make it through this process. By the time we get to Wednesday, the moon goes into Scorpio, opposes Jupiter. We're going to start feeling a little bit better. And then following the moon opposing Jupiter and bringing our spirits back up a little bit, on Thursday coming up, we've got a very, very interesting day, and there should be some interesting messages or correspondence or thoughts or realizations, and there's going to be a very strong emphasis on the past. The past is going to become very relevant in some type of way, and this is going to sort of become the focal point vacuum for the rest of the week. So whatever has been giving us issues, whatever has been frustrating us or has been creating a block or has been creating a burden or a barrier or has been making us maybe like doubt our progress or doubt our abilities or maybe shaking our confidence in ourselves or, you know, maybe showing us or making us feel like what needs to be overcome is like beyond our ability to do so or something along those lines. We should feel more self-empowered and we should feel just more capable and more able as we move through this week. But there is definitely something about the past that is going to be coloring some dimension of our experience somehow. Big emphasis on past relationships, unfinished business, old memories, things coming back around. Gaining closure is likely to also be a big theme. And again, relationships are probably, you know, what this is going to be surrounded around. This could also have to do with finances, preferences, desires, or values. We're talking about all of these Venus Libra themes. This could also be talking about like, harmony, peace, balance, justice, where things have been out of balance or unjust or lacking harmony, and what needs to be fixed or released in order to restore a sense of balance or peace or harmony in some type of relationship situation. This is fixing things that have been out of balance or that have been not also like as beautiful as they could be. This Venus retrograde period is also going to be about, you know, how can I make something more beautiful? How can I make something more like pleasurable? This is really great also for like any type of artistry or like creative endeavors or, you know, any type of design or music or anything like that. Like this is a really good period of time between now and September to sort of like perfect our crafts in a lot of ways, like whatever we are growing, whatever bringing to fruition, whatever we're nurturing, whatever, you know, we're cultivating, or like I said, you know, we're creating right now, whatever we're in the process of birthing. This is also a very good period of time to make sure that, or to get some new ideas, or to get some new inspiration, or to see things perhaps from a different angle, to look at things from a different lens in order to figure out, like I said, like how to make them better. We've got lots of retrograde energy going on right now. We've got Saturn retrograde, we've got Pluto retrograde, we've got Neptune retrograde, we've got Venus now retrograde as well. And Mercury is going to come into a conjunction with Venus retrograde this week, and the moon will also be forming a square. So our mind is likely to be very wrapped up in how we can improve or better some dimension of our, even like our appearance or something like that, or our home, or, you know, figuring out how to make things more beautiful, thinking about how to make things more abundant, figuring out how to increase the value of things as well. Like this could also be a dimension of this, but whenever we're talking about Venus retrograde, especially with the Mercury influence, this is going to bring back people, information, conversations, love type situations, financial perhaps type situations also from the past. Any type of unfinished business, like I said, anything in need of closure, especially along those lines, could be playing some type of significant role this week. And when I say significant, like I really mean it, because of the position of the nodes of the moon right now, which again, these nodes of the moon, past and future, destiny and karma, where we've been and where we're going now, these really have been playing a huge role in the way the energy has been unfolding lately, which is important because when the nodes are involved, this is like hand of God type of energy. This is like, divine alignment and things happening according to this higher plan to like change a trajectory or to like make a shift or to make sure that like the cosmic blueprint is unfolding according to the proper plan. And when the North Node is activated, especially when we're changing signs, this is talking about like a new phase of growth and like a new lesson plan that is underway and like a new step in our like evolutionary process. And right now with the North Node at the in the sign of Aries and Venus in the sign of Leo, right around the same degrees, Venus retrograded at 28 degrees of Leo. The North Node is currently right now at 29 degrees of Aries. That puts Venus in her retrograde in almost an exact trine to the North Node and sextile to the South Node. Trines and sextiles, these are supportive, facilitating aspects. Venus is ruling the position of the South Node. Relationship changes that are going on right now, you guys, and changes in values, changes in desires, changes in preferences, changes in appearance and stuff like that as well. This is a necessary part of our rebirth process in some type of a way. Venus retrograding in almost an exact trine to the North Node in the sign of Aries. Whatever closure or whatever, like I said, like loose ends need to be tied up, or whatever like unfinished business is coming back around now, or whatever however we are like in the process of like whatever fixes we need to make to, again, like these various areas of our life that like have to do with our appearance or our living environment or our finances or whatever we're our preferences, our desires, our values, our relationships, like whatever we are our social situations as well, whatever we're reconsidering along those lines is imperative right now in order for us to actually like move towards the next phase of growth that is in alignment with our own personal like evolution right now at this point in time. And I can tell you with the North Node in the sign of Aries, this is all about redefining ourselves. This is about personal growth. This is about character development. This is about no longer allowing our personal identity to be defined by a group or by our social circumstances. This is detaching from any type of group think and being able to like express ourselves and align with ourselves and identify in alignment with our personal authentic truth, and no longer like mold our own like lifestyle and our own like personal decisions as a result of some type of like social constraints or social expectations or anything like that. This is going to be a 1.5 year period of time where we are going through a process of like radically re-identifying with ourselves, and it's really, really, really going to change and alter our social circumstances and who we associate with and what we want and what we desire, what we value in the context of finances, in the context of our material world, and in the like material, the material aspects of life and stuff like that, our possessions, and also in the context of our relationships, how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to others, how we do relationships. And there's going to be a separation from any relationships that we have been in that required any type of facade in order to maintain those relationships. So it's as we go through this Venus retrograde process, as some of these things from the past, however it comes together, become relevant for us in our lives. It's a part of this graduation process, really, where we are redefining ourselves and transitioning really from an old version of ourselves that may have been more defined by a group or a social or a cultural type of expectation. And we are moving forward down a path that is a result of the relationship with ourselves that is based in a much greater sense of truth and also self-mastery, but independence for sure. We also have Chiron right now in the sign of Aries, so we know this is going to be a year and a half that is pulling us on a trajectory towards self-mastery as well. So it really, for the next year and a half, like the lesson plan is about becoming a better version of ourselves, or becoming the best version of ourselves that we're capable of being at this point in time. And again, no longer allowing us to hold ourselves back as a result of, you know, some type of fear or some type of an attachment to what somebody else might think about it. So we're going in our own direction, but it is in order to support, you know, our own personal growth and what is really better, you know, in our best interest and good for us. But it's so that we can, you know, come to this place of self-mastery within that actually allows us to be better and more supportive for everybody else in our lives. It's like we're learning to be a better member of a group actually throughout this period of time by learning to have a better relationship to ourselves. And so whereas we may start out this year and a half transit of the nodes through Aries and Libra, especially, you know, starting this in the cardinal cross with Pluto in the sun, like we're feeling like everything's falling apart. Like we may really go through kind of a crisis in terms of our social lives, or in terms of, you know, where we feel connected to the group dynamic of things as this year and a half kicks off. But by the time we get to the end of it, we will actually be in a much better place to be a friend and a partner and a support system to other people in our lives, because we will have redefined our own relationship to ourselves. And that in and of itself will heal and make so much better and so much more fulfilling the relationships that do remain, or that we actually attract into our lives as we go through this process. So yeah, you know, we may really be redefining a lot of the relationships in our lives throughout the next year and a half, and we may have to go through some really big challenges as we go through that process. But by the time we get to the end of it, we will know ourselves better, we will feel more confident in our own skin, and as a result of that, the relationships that we have in our lives will be so much more fulfilling to us on these deeper levels, and also so much more supportive of us doing exactly that and becoming this better version of ourselves moving forward. So, you know, really there is some very, very positive outcomes that will come as we get to the end of this process. But as we start, you guys, it really is, it's the pressure cooker, and things may really feel like they're sort of just kind of falling apart, especially on these like social relationship based levels. And with Venus retrograding again in the trine to the North Node, though, this is what is necessary to move us forward and to ultimately make us happier, healthier, more fulfilled, and like return us to a much greater sense of internalized self-empowerment, which is where we're going, especially for 2024. We've been talking about this and we're going to continue to talk about it. So, you know, big things going on right now, guys, in our transition of ages. There could be a lot of tension that we are dealing with for sure to begin this week. The moon is opposing Chiron on Monday, transiting through Libra. This could trigger wounds. This could bring up a sense of emotional rawness, emotional vulnerability, old wounds, also like hurt feelings, painful emotions. Moon opposite Chiron, like this is what we get with that energy. And there, again, there's likely to be some type of an emphasis on the past in the context of, you know, however this energy may be triggering us, old wounds perhaps, and their impacts on us now, and maybe what we need to heal, what we need to change, who we need to detach ourselves from, what we need to reprioritize, maybe how we need to shift our values or our preferences to redefine ourselves and to heal ourselves, maybe from a pattern that we had been stuck in, or something about ourselves that we have gained an awareness of that was holding us back somehow, as all of this energy has come into fruition and has sort of all happened at once. It may take a lot to process also. That's another thing. I feel like once we do get to Wednesday and this Venus retrograde energy kicks in, there's going to be a lot of processing also about like what just happened over the course of this, like, I don't know, like week to 10-day period probably, where this grand cross was like really, really heavy and sort of running the show. So, things could definitely, again, just be a bit challenging, a bit tense as we are opening on Monday. And then, of course, moving into Tuesday, we are back in the thick of this Grand Cross energy because the moon will be aligning with the South Node, of course, sextile to Venus retrograde, opposite to the North Node, and the square to Pluto. So some we could feel pulled in a million different directions again. We could feel very much all over the place on Tuesday. It could be kind of hard to stay composed, especially on an emotional level, hard to keep it together. But it is also bringing us to this point of like, I have to do something different. Like, I've got to change something. And there could be a level of like cathartic release that is associated with it, or something that has like a very powerful transformative impact on us in one way or another for some reason. There, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday specifically also, there could definitely be this past emphasis that we're coming up and we really need to deal with, like these issues of like closure, tying up loose ends, unfinished business could be very wrapped up in whatever is playing out Tuesday as well. Wednesday, things will shift. And as I said, this is because the moon will enter Scorpio and will oppose Jupiter. This will light things back up for us, bring the optimism, bring the hope. But then, as I said, as we move into Thursday, Mercury will come into exact conjunction with Venus retrograde. And this is when we really start zeroing in and honing in on this Venus retrograde energy. Moving into Saturday, Venus will actually also there will also be a grand trine in fire signs because of the moon's presence in the sign of Sagittarius. We will have Venus North Node Moon fire sign late degree trine going on Saturday. So, whatever is coming full circle or whatever is coming back around now, like I said, this is purposeful. This is happening in divine timing. There is a greater plan that is playing out right now associated with a phase of personal growth, character development that is being ushered in right now for all of us in some capacity. There is a lesson, okay, in whatever is associated with the past coming back around through this Venus retrograde cycle. And we need to keep that in mind, okay? Anybody from the past that is for some reason showing up and holding a relevance in your experience now, between now and the beginning of September, there is a lesson in there for you that is directly related to bringing you somehow to a greater place of wisdom, a greater place of self-mastery, and to helping to like redefine yourself in some way or another. So whatever is happening, like we need to be viewing it through the lens of some type of universal lesson that is coming to us to help us gain something significant, to help us grow in some type of a way being presented now. So, to start this week, as I, started this report, we really just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other. We just need to keep pushing forward, moving through whatever it is, moving through, carrying our feet through the mud, whatever we feel like is, causing tension or chaos or frustration or, the generalized overwhelm right now. And again, with Mercury and square to Uranus, this could also be like a generalized anxiety that's going on right now as well. Keep going, keep moving forward. We need to just do our best. Our best is all that matters right now. Our best is what counts. And we need to know that this is not going to last forever. We are transitioning out of this energy. And by the time that we get midweek, things are definitely going to start looking up a little bit. As I said, as I've been talking about this past week, this past 10 days or so, and moving through this week also until we get to this midweek area, have been perhaps this is like some of the most intense energy probably of this entire year, and we are on the way out of it by the time we get to the end of this week, by the time we are closing out July. So the entire vibe is going to shift on Thursday, you guys, and we are going to be focused not on everything that we are trying to navigate and balance in, all the fires that we're trying to put out, or, whatever, all has been going on. Now we're going to be focused for some reason on things from the past, either in terms of like us being like just interested or consumed on some level by like something along those lines, or because there is something that we need to do, again, like some type of unfinished business or something that is coming up. So Mercury squaring Uranus. Again, this is likely to be unexpected, could really be catching us off guard. With Venus and Mercury coming together this week and Mercury squaring Uranus is probably like the last person that you ever expected to hear from. All of a sudden, like, showing up on your doorstep, or, just some type of unexpected reconnection from the past somehow that is like having some type of impact. And again, it is for the purpose of some type of lesson related to your growth in some type of way. So that's what I got to say today, you guys. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're dealing with in terms of the astrology as it's coming together. Another very significant week. And again, like I said, another dimension of this Venus retrograde energy that is the highlight and the focus as we move towards the end of this week will have to do with us processing a lot that just happened in the context of this Grand Cardinal Cross that we've been dealing with, and that just played out as well. So we've made it, you guys, for the most part. We've just got to get through this next week, and then things are going to change, and we'll have some more to talk about. And I will be back on Wednesday to get into some more specific details about this Mercury Venus retrograde energy that we need to talk about, and all that might be bringing us as well. Now let's talk about some tarot cards for a minute, you guys. I have done a tarot reading for us today, so this there may be a message in here for you if you want to pay attention to this part as well. There is so much coming out in the tarot about not giving up, okay? Even if we feel like there's no path forward right now, perhaps, or even if we're feeling just like down or uninspired, or like our flame internally has sort of been put out a little bit, we need to keep going. We need to keep persevering. We need to keep moving forward, and we need to somehow find a way to stay attached to our own creative potential, our own creative power, and try to garner this inner sense of self-empowerment despite that which may seem to oppose us or come against us externally. We need to realize that we do have the power to persevere. We do have the power to overcome any roadblock or obstruction that is in our path right now. It's more of a test than it is a limitation, and it's ultimately trying to show us what we really have inside and how powerful we actually are to overcome that which maybe we couldn't have in the past, or maybe, that which we were afraid of, or that which we didn't maybe think that we had within us to persevere through. So the reason why I'm saying all of these things, we have essentially all wands in our tarot reading today, which is unique. We don't normally have a reading where there's just one suit that is like dominating the spread, but that is absolutely what we have going on today. The first card that we had coming out was the Page of Wands in reverse. So this is talking about, the Page of Wands. This is a very enthusiastic, inspired energy. He's like, look at this big stick. Look at what I have here. I can do anything with this. This is like about having confidence and believing in ourselves, and like really like, it's kind of like the seize the day energy, and like this high hopes energy, and just this kind of naive on one hand, but also just very inspired, youthful, optimistic, hopeful energy for what we can create, okay? But when it's in reverse, it's like this is maybe stifled or held back a little bit. And then the card we have coming out after that, of course, this is the Nine of Wands. This is the Wounded Warrior card. This is the card about one foot in front of the other. Like, I have to keep going. I can't give up. Like, I'm battered, I'm bruised, I've been through it, but I'm still standing. And, I may be war torn, but I'm not backing down, and I'm not giving up. And then after that, we have the Queen of Wands. It's like, because if we just keep going, the fire will come back, the passion will come back, the creative energy and the invigoration and the inspiration will be restored on a much higher level. We're going from literally like the Page of Wands to the Queen of Wands. So, if we're questioning our ability, if we're feeling like maybe we can't do it, if we're feeling like maybe we should just give up in the face of whatever is working against us right now, the answer in the tarot is no. Yes, we may be feeling like we're in a weakened state right now. We may feel like our flame has been put out a little bit. We may feel like, what we have to go through could be, do I have the strength to endure? But if we just keep at it, if we just keep going, if we just keep doing our best, this reading, this energy, is communicating to us that we will actually find ourselves in a much greater state of self-empowerment, creative potential, restored energy, restored inspiration. We just have to keep going. And it's indicated again on the back of the deck. The back of the deck is giving us the same basic information. The first card that we had coming out was the Magician, followed by the Ten of Wands and the Knight of Wands in reverse. And then under that, we had the Two of Wands. So it's all wands, but like, what's the central card in this spread? Like, we've got 3 wands cards on one side, we've got 3 wands cards on the other, and then we've got the Magician in the middle. Like, we have all the tools, we have it within us, but it's about using what we have within us and not giving up to restore and to help us to maintain, you know, our sense of confidence and to like believe that we can do it, even if the reality in front of us right now may be trying to tell us that we can't. I mean, like, it's basically the same energy. The Magician, the Ten of Wands, like, we can find the power within us to persevere over that which may be taking all of our strength and all of our effort and may be creating this like huge burden, but we're gonna get through it. After that, you know, the Knight of Wands in reverse, but we may feel held back. We may feel like this is taking way longer than we wanted it to. We may feel like all of our momentum is like stifled and blocked, like we can't get through anything. Like I said, like the burden is too heavy, or, you know, we're being pulled in all these different directions, or there's too many, you know, responsibilities, or, you know, whatever. And we can't, the Two of Wands. So that the Two of Wands, this is a card about like planning and making decisions and deciding how we're going to use our energy, what we're going to create with it, how we're going to move ourselves forward. So it's like we have these plans maybe, but it's like we can't make progress towards them, and there's just like the opposition is so great, and like, how am I ever going to do it? But it's talking, you know, the solution is the Magician, and the Magician is right next to the Queen of Wands. So we can't forget why we're doing this, okay? You know, we can't forget the truth of who we are and what it is that we truly deserve, and, you know, what it is that's really inspiring us, and that we do truly have all we need within us. And I guess, you know, like I said in the astrology, one foot in front of the other, not giving up, not attaching to the setbacks, and believing that things are going to shift and change, and they're going to shift and change in our favor to bring us to a greater sense of self-empowerment that will truly help us create the progress and the change that we've been looking for, that we've been working towards. Is coming, but we have to persevere through whatever tests are being presented to us right now. So that's what the tarot was saying. With it being all wands, this is definitely related to our energy level. And again, we're talking about all wands. This is fire energy. We have the North Node in Aries. This is like our life flow, our vital force, like our inspiration, our creative potential. So we've got to tune in to our own vibration and to not allow anybody else, okay, or what they say or what they think or what they expect, or, you know, the opposition that they're presenting right now, to like distort our own sense of capability, okay, and assertiveness and ability to create, okay, like from and with our energy and our energy field. So that's what I'm going to say about the tarot. Let's grab a synchronicity card now. What is one piece of advice that we can utilize? What do we need to know? What guidance can support us, benefit us? What would be the best thing for us to, you know, speak to ourselves and keep in mind as we are going through this energy Monday and Tuesday? Forgive. And that is also like this Venus retrograde energy. That is another huge dimension of this. We're talking about the North Node in the sign of Aries with Chiron. This is going to create, you know, a need to learn to forgive the past and also release ourselves from, you know, whatever situations may have sparked that need to forgive something. So I can definitely see how this card and this advice could be really important as we are moving through this next couple of days. Be not afraid for the pestilence that walketh in darkness. Psalms 91. You are in the dark when you indulge in depression, feeling sorry for yourself, anger, or ill will. When you condemn yourself or others, these are pestilences of the darkness. Anger towards others reflects your emotionally charged state. You violate the law of harmony, and it will bring you trouble. Forgive yourself and others, and hail God in your midst to heal your anger. Pray, thank you, God, for removing my anger. Honestly, like, I feel like on a greater level, like this is actually probably some of the best guidance that we could apply throughout the course of this entire North Node Aries, South Node Libra transit. I feel like exactly what is being spoken about in this card are some of the very themes and challenges and lessons that we are going to have to learn to, overcome and align ourselves with as we go through this next year and a half. And forgiveness and release is going to be, a huge part of our experience, especially in the context of past pains, past hurts, and what other people have done to us in the past, and coming to a point where we are able to release ourselves through forgiveness. And again, come into a greater place of self-mastery as we redefine ourselves moving forward. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you feel like they would like this kind of astrology content, benefit from this type of information as well. Leave me comments. I'm so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for your comments. I love knowing, it's important to me to know how these energies are affecting you guys. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these reports, please let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, I really value your feedback. I really value knowing what's going on with you, and I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. I also have a Facebook page, a Facebook group where I post these whiteboards if you're interested in knowing what these say, and an Instagram as well. Those are my description box below. Come back with me on Wednesday, like I said, where we will be getting into even more detail in terms of the shift that will be taking place this week, where we are transitioning out of this Grand Cross energy, focusing more on this Venus retrograde energy. We'll have a lot to talk about. You don't want to miss it. I'll be here. You should be here too. And I will see you then, guys. Have a very beautiful beginning of your week. One foot in front of the other. And I will see you then. Bye, guys.